I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, a vlog podcast thingy. Welcome to episode 28. Today is Sunday, August 22nd of 2021. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you watching this little bit of my world. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, thank you so much for checking it out. I hope you like what you see and keep coming back week to week, or whenever it is that I pop this thing out there. Anyway, thanks for being here, everybody. Today it's about 95 degrees in Wichita, Kansas, with about 50% humidity, so it's not very nice out. So air conditioning is the key to everything. To any of you who may be out there on the East Coast expecting a great big hurricane, please be safe. And if you're watching this after the hurricane, I hope you were safe. I hope that the cleanup is easy for you. Okay, hey, craziness out there, isn't it? I've been watching, or whenever I scroll the social media, I keep seeing these memes about fall plans versus the Delta variant. It's made me think of the old, oh my God, this is going to date me. The old song Delta Dawn, which kind of makes me, I mean, it's a very kind of weird song that the lyric is all about dying and going to, I'm assuming, heaven. But anyway, every time I see one of those, it makes me think of that song. Either the Helen Reddy or the Tanya Tucker version. Doesn't really matter. They're both about the same. Either way. My little PSA, get vaccinated, folks. And if you've been vaccinated, get ready to get the booster. And for those of you who may be immunocompromised in some way, go get your booster tomorrow, because by the time I get this out there, it will be tomorrow. So go get your boosters when you have that opportunity. Keep wearing your masks. We are not at a point where it's safe. I haven't stopped wearing a mask when I go out into public, and I probably at this point might, for the foreseeable future, probably into spring, maybe summer of next year, depending on what the heck happens, I'm going to be wearing my mask. That's just how it's going to be, and I'm going to get a booster whenever I can get one. No, I don't care how many times it takes. I'm going to continue getting boosters, getting that extra protection from this craziness that's out there. So don't be a statistic. Get your vaccination. Keep wearing your mask. Keep social distancing. That'll keep us all very, very safe until this craziness finally reaches a point of being over. Because by golly, I want to get out there and do stuff. I have done some stuff this summer, and I felt I'm kind of feeling a little like maybe it was still too soon. But anyway, that's my public service announcement for the day. So let's get on with the fun stuff. So hey, guess what? Finished object. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have finished my stained shawl by Ryks-Robinsky. I love it. I think it looks fabulous. It is a really, really fun shawl. Pop it back here so you can see that most of its craziness. Look at that. It's just so much fun. So it starts off relatively simple, just a little thing going on. But notice what he does here. He, instead of just a standard straightness, he does this line of lace, or these open holes, and that's where the straight border is along that hole, that lace line, and then the rest of this is sort of a wing that, the rest of this edging is just a wing that comes up. Oh my God, so much fun. I just love how he does that. And then there's that little cross stitch thing going on. Not cross stitch, but crossed, crossing the stitches. So much fun creating that little detail there. And then it gets deep into these short row sections for the black and the variegated, lots of big short rows. And then it gets into this edging, which again is a bunch of short rows. So much fun to knit, especially if you're into short rows. Takes a minute, but I love how it turned out. I really, really do. I did this on my own yarn. So this is on the Mount Carmel yarns. Yeah, more on that later. Mount Carmel yarns basic sock in a custom colorway that I did just for me, just for this shawl. So you'll not find it out there on the interwebs, but because I really have no idea how I created it. So it is a one of a kind. So it's although the black the blackish gray I could reproduce pretty easily. I could probably come close to the stained color concept. Anyway, but yeah, I love how that turned out. So pretty, so much fun. Highly recommend that pattern because as you see, it just turns into something just so much fun. And with lots of, I mean, you could choose all sorts of different colorways and color combinations that would look really neat, especially if you have a bright contrasted color with either a very like a very tonal, something tonal and something, highly variegated that has a lot of brightness to it. Anyway, I enjoyed knitting that. I enjoyed the finished product. It is so pretty. Go check out his stuff. It's so great. It really is. That is the only finished object I have for the 3 weeks that I have been that we've last spoken. Work has just been really busy, and it's going to be busy probably through the fall up into November before things hopefully slow down. We'll see. I've seen that meme out there, and it's like adulthood is always saying it's gonna, in a couple of months it's gonna slow down, and we just, that's what we say for the rest of our lives. It's so true. We always say, yeah, in a couple months it's gonna slow down, and then it doesn't. So there we go. Okay, works in progress. My whips. All right, I'm still working on the August socks, and I still don't have the first one done, but here it is. Ta-da! Oh, the color's just all going freaky, but anyway, it's this pink and blue. I don't know, maybe if I come back here, you can kind of see it. I don't know. So still working on the first sock, still in the first. I'm getting close to the point where I can start the gusset to go into the heel, but yeah, I'm a ways away from that. And I don't know if the second sock's going to get done in August. This summer just has not been good for me and socks. Of course, I've sort of changed up my pattern a little bit, so it's a lot. There's more stitches, and so it's taking me longer. I went from 64 to 72, but it fits so much better. I wish I'd done all those other socks at 72, but then again, I maybe not have gotten so many socks done. Anyway, the pattern I use for my socks is the Sockmaticians Toe Up by Nathan Taylor. Absolutely a great recipe. It's not a pattern so much as it is a recipe for toe up socks. There's calculations to do, but let me tell you, it is worth it because it makes a perfectly fitting sock, for at least for me, every time. So check it out, try it out. I think you'll like it. And if you're not a sock knitter, that's okay too. It's not for everybody. I spent 15 years of knitting, and I tried socks, and it just never clicked with me. Just never ever clicked until I started doing toe up, and then it was like, oh, okay, this is easy. That I also made a commitment to. I was going to knit, or at least attempt to knit, one pair of socks per month throughout 2021, just to sort of say, now I'm a sock knitter. I can knit a pair of socks that fit and are fun, and I like them. So this was my last pair of socks, which took me June and most of July to knit. Pretty fun. Oh, this yarn, I should tell you what yarn I'm using. The yarn I am using on my July-August socks is a local yarn dyer, Amber Waves of Fiber. This is on their simple sock base. This is a one batch only. There, you can sort of see the pink and blue. There, it's not too bad. It's really fun. It was really pretty. It feels really nice. It's a good old standard 75-25 superwash merino nylon blend. About 463 yards in this bad boy. So that is my socks going on. My other. So I finished Stained at probably about 10 o'clock last night, finishing up the I-cord border. Oh, which is really cool. I don't know if you noticed that. So the very, very end, the very, very bottom of this puppy, you go, instead of doing black, you go back to the fun color in an I-cord all along the bottom. So kind of reminiscent of what Stephen West does nowadays. But this shawl is a few years back. It's a few years old for Josh. So I wasn't knitting these kind of shawls back then, but so yeah. So I finished this off. I got the I-cord done. I got it blocked. And then I sat down and immediately cast on a new shawl because I happened to have been watching Needles at the Ready with Kevin and Ray. And Kevin started talking about a shawl that he had recently cast on in a pattern that he really likes. One moment. Sorry about that. Little phone interruption there, but got all that taken care of. So next, actually, let me make sure I turn that phone down so that's not a continual distraction. Okay, cool. So as I was saying, finished this shawl, immediately cast on another shawl. And it was all because of Kevin and Ray on Needles at the Ready. Mostly Kevin, not so much Ray, because Kevin cast on this shawl as well. And they were talking about it was a great one skein shawl. And I was like, oh, perfect. I have a lot of like skeins of yarn that I've dyed up that are just sort of experimental and playing around on a base that I really didn't like that much. So yeah, so boom, here's my yarn that I dyed up. It's blowing out, maybe. There we go. That's a little closer if you can really kind of tell. Anyway, this is the Lightweight Hipster by Joji Locatelli, and I love how this is knitting up. Look at those colors, so much fun. It's sort of a teal blue, light blue, dark blue, just all sorts of blues in there that I was playing with. But yeah, I cast that on, and it's on a yarn base that is supposed to be a a merino, but it's real toothy for a merino. It's not very soft. So I was like, it's not a yarn base that I'm particularly crazy about. But I had it, so I dyed it up and to play around with colors. And I love this. I really liked how this one turned out. It was sort of a light blue base that I did a lot of other blues over the top of. And I think it's going to make a really pretty, pretty hipster shawl. So that got cast on. So that's my own Mount Carmel Yarns Toothy Merino sock base. One of a kind. I'm calling it. It's kind of like a stormy sea and sky. I don't know. It's a one of a kind. It's never going to get dyed again, so it doesn't really need a name. But anyway, there it is. That is on the needles. Speaking of on the needles, watch their podcast today, just a little bit ago. They are doing fabulously. One of these days, I'm going to have to buy a whole bunch of trilogy yarns. But that is not this month. I'll tell you that much right now. So much been going on. So much going on. So what else do I want to say about that stuff? That's really all the knitting that's going on. There's not a lot more to say about knitting because I've been busy with work and other activities. You know what? I don't know that I have ever told or talked about what I actually do as my main moneymaker. And this is one of the things that I have noticed a lot of folks don't do on their podcasts, on their vlogs, or what have you. They don't really. A little bit of seltzer water. It's as hard as it gets around here. So I don't know that I've ever talked so much about what I do because I kind of got this sense that that's just not what you do. You don't talk about your real job. But you know what? I like to kind of throw everything out there. So anyway, what I do for my real job is I am a corporate educator. And what I mean by that is I am a corporate trainer. I work for a large-ish corporation. I won't give that out, but I will tell you what I do. And so I train adults on how to use computer tools. I teach leadership and professional development, computer skills. Oh, I said that. So those are the types of things that I do. My current gig doing that is teaching Medicare and Medicaid sales. So Medicare insurance to the over 65 crowd. That's my gig today. So no, I'm not going to sit here and answer your questions about Medicare and Medicaid and how that all works. That's not what this vlog is about. But that's what I do on a regular basis for my paycheck that puts the money in the bank so that I can spend it on yarn and knitting supplies. So that's that. So that's my gig there. So now I also have a side gig. Don't tell anybody. No, actually tell everybody. Tell everybody about my new side gig, because my new side gig is this. This is my new side gig. My little side business going on here. I have officially launched Mount Carmel Yarns. That's going to be the name, or that is not even just going to be, it is the name of my hand-dyed yarn shop that I opened up 1 week ago today, officially. Turned it on, put up all my yarns, and clicked the button that said open, and off we went. And then I put out a couple of things out there. Some of you may have seen it on either Instagram or on Facebook. You may have seen some aspects of this floating out there. So yes, indeed, this is for real. It's so for real that yesterday I dropped off my first 4 orders into gave it into the care of the U.S. Postal Service to send those things out there into the world for folks that have purchased yarn from me. And if you are watching this and you are one of the people that purchased yarn from me, thank you so very much. I so appreciate your confidence in me and in the yarns that I've thrown out there. So there. Great. Thank you. So to the rest of you, please go check it out. The link to my shop, which is an Etsy shop, for good or for ill, that's where I'm at right now. So at some point, if this turns out to be something that works out, I may eventually open up my own shop on the internet, not affiliated with Etsy, but currently that's where I'm at. So what do I have out there? What was my inaugural collection? Well, my inaugural collection, let's see. I'll start with this one. This colorway, which again, oh, hang on. Get the logo out of the way. There we go. This colorway, which looks very, very purple, but it's much more reddish than it appears here. You can probably get a better sense of it on the shop. But anyway, this one is called Kiddush. I have this currently on my basic sock 7525 base. It's called Kiddush. And for those of you, this inaugural collection is all themed around Jewish Shabbat, which is our weekly holiday celebration for the Sabbath. And Kiddush is the blessing over wine that we say at the beginning of Shabbat. Well, really the beginning of any holiday that we celebrate, but Shabbat's weekly. So Kiddush, it's a very, very deep, tonal, reddish wine color, which really comes off as much more purple on the computer. Anyway, so there's Kiddush. There is Techelet, Techelet blue. Techelet is a color of blue that is mentioned in Torah, which we're supposed to, back in the day. It doesn't happen so much today because how to create Techelet has been lost in time and craziness. Supposedly came from a mollusk, but what color it actually was, we don't know. And so I have this tonal, almost variegated blue skein, which I call Techelet blue. I have this on my basic sock, 7525, superwash merino nylon blended base, and on my merino DK, which is a 100% superwash merino. Cool. Those are those. What else do I have? I have Eitz Zayit, which is olive wood. It was supposed to have been challah, but as you can see, it's really greenish, and challah is a bread which is not green. So I had to change the name of it from challah to Eitz Zayit, which is olive wood. I have this on, again, both bases of basic sock and merino DK. On merino DK, I also have a colorway called the Vine, which is this sort of reddish brown. It was a mistake, and so this is really of a one-of-a-kind batch that's out there, but it's called the Vine. I call it the Vine because when we bless the wine, we say, we basically bless the fruit of the vine, and so that's the fruit. This is the vine. So I'm throwing that out there. It's a really lovely sort of basic neutral color. All right, these two colors, actually, the next three colors, I absolutely love. I love these three colors. I'll start with this one. This one's called Eitz Chaim, Tree of Life. From a Jewish perspective, the concept of the tree of life, of course, it all goes back to the Eden story. But the Torah, the teachings of Torah, are metaphysically considered the tree of life. It is that which gives us an abundant life, is the teachings. And so this is a green, tonal green. Again, it doesn't play out tonal, with a lot of some tans and some blues in it. Really love how that turned out. The next colorway is called Havdalah, or separation. Looks like a flame. So, here's like the wick, and here's the wick, and then reds and, yellows, oranges, reds, and then a sort of that dark maroonish color at the top. Anyway, it's called Havdalah, separation. Havdalah is the term means separation, and it signifies the separation of the holy from the profane, the Shabbat from the rest of the week, holidays from the rest of the week. So our holy time, our time of introspection on Shabbat, being separated by fire. So we start Shabbat with candlelight. We end Shabbat with a different type of candlelight. And this is to signify that candle flame. So anyway, again, this is on both of my bases, as was Eitz Chaim, Tree of Life, and Havdalah are both on my DK and my sock base. And then I think, yes, my final, well, no, there's one other colorway. I'll have to go grab it. But this other colorway here is called Shema, which it means hear. Shema is the Shema is a affirmation of faith for the Jewish people. Shema Yisrael Adonai, and so on. Anyway, I make this in a particular way. This one is probably my most difficult colorway to attain. Not because it's hard to create. It's not that it's a lot of colors. It's just black and white, right? But to make this, what I do is I create a sock blank. I hand crank a sock blank, and then I paint that sock blank with black dye, and I actually write out in Hebrew the Shema affirmation. And then I unravel that sock blank and reskein it so it looks like this. So that gives it its very sort of not speckled, but sort of splotched. So a prayer, you could say, the Jewish affirmation of faith is in this skein. So, and every skein that I do with this. Currently, I only have this on my sock base, my basic sock. I do plan on putting some out there from the DK for that base as well. Now, I technically have two other bases. Thank you for sticking around. Now, I do have one other colorway, although it's one of those one-of-a-kind batches. And this one is called Tohar, which means purity. This is the combination. It basically is just a purple. It's really a violet color. Again, it doesn't really pick up. It's a little closer here, but you can see the pinks, blues, and actual purples. Purple is the color of purity and redemption in sort of the Jewish mystic faith type thing. But anyway, this is on my This one happens to be my high twist base. I have a high twist sock, or high twist fingering technically, and a high twist DK. The high twist base for both is an 80% superwash fine Highland wool and 20% polyamide, and they are both 2-ply. So if you look real close, you can see that 2-ply twist to it. It's really soft for being just a fine Highland wool. So actually really, really fun base to play with. And I have another just complete one-of-a-kind colorway. I have a couple of just standard, just one-of-a-kinds. This is one of them, unnamed, just called one of a kind. It's out there in the shop. But this is, again, on the high twist sock. And I have like another one out there as well that's based on greens. And basically I kind of just throw some of my a la ChemKnits tutorials, leave no dye behind type of skeins, where I have some leftover dye and I just throw it on a skein of yarn and then pop it out into the shop. So those are generally my colorways at this point. There's still lots of yarn out there in the shop. Please go to the link in the show notes. Go to my shop. It's Mount Carmel Yarns, all one word, .etsy.com. That'll get you there. I'll see if I can throw that down here somewhere. So yeah, there's that. So go check it out. I really want to get rid of this yarn. I wanted to get it out of my house so I can actually dye some more of it and put it up in the shop. I'll probably keep these basic colorways for a while and then switch it up later on in the fall. That's my current plan at this point. So been busy with that. How do you like those apples? Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I'm really excited about this, actually. I'm really excited about it. So please do check it out. What else have I been up to? I've actually kind of gotten back into watching streaming content again. Took a little bit of a break. Took a little bit of break from watching YouTube, but kind of slowly creeping back into that as well. TV, I've been, of course, watching The Bad Batch, which has come to a glorious end. I have the final episode to watch, so no spoilers for me, please. And I am still watching the Clone Wars in chronological order. I am in the next to last season, and then I'll watch the final season one more time. Or no, I'm in the last season. I'm in season 6. I'm in the last season again, so everything at this point is just in order. But yeah, so great. Loving those again. I've actually started listening to audiobooks again. Again, I'm gonna blame Kevin from Needles at the Ready for this, because he's been occasionally listening or reading some gay romance fiction, sort of in the fantasy sci-fi type of genre, of which there's just not that. In my experience of reading a lot of science fiction throughout my life, I haven't found a lot. There have basically been no gay main characters, and so the fact that there are now more gay main characters in fantasy fiction and science fiction. I just heard what I just did there. It was really weird. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So I am actually started listening to my first gay romance science or fantasy fiction. I'm just got done listening to The Prince of Air and Darkness by M.A. Grant. It is from the Darkest Court series. It is the premise is the two main characters is one is a human that can channel the power of the magical powers of the ley lines. Even if you know anything about fantasy fiction, ley lines like take a huge aspect of that of fiction, especially dealing with the fairy courts, the Seelie and Unseelie, the spring, which is the Seelie court, and the or the spring summer Seelie court, and the fall winter Unseelie court. Anyway, those are the Fae courts. Those of you who follow this kind of fiction, this is not new to you. Anyway, the one protagonist is a human that channels the power of the ley lines, and the other protagonist is the prince of the Unseelie court, the son of Queen Mab, who rules over the fall and winter court. And they basically, in this story, there's lots of stuff that happens in the storyline. They're sort of antagonistic, and then they become lovers, and yeah, so it's very interesting. I really enjoyed it. It was very nicely read, very interesting story. I'm looking forward to being able to get the second book from my library, the second audiobook, downloaded from my library, but I have to wait because they only have license for a few copies, and so I'm on the waiting list for the second in that series. And I haven't found any other from my library that I can download to sort of fill my interim, because now I want to just, I'm sort of in a listening rut. I want to hear gay fantasy fiction, science fiction. I can't help it. That's what I want to hear. That's what I'm in the mood for. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. Those are the crazy things I've been doing. Any other TV I've been watching? No, not really. That's about it. So yeah, that's been my crazy 3 weeks I'm going to try and get back into the every other week pattern, but no promises right now. What I would love to have happen is for y'all to make me so super busy getting yarn back, sent out to you all, that then I'm forced to get back into the dyeing some yarn. I really haven't dyed. I think the last colorway I dyed was this one, the Tohar, but which was fun. It was a lot of fun to dye that one. So I want to do some more dyeing. I definitely am going to do some more of the Shema, because I love how it turns out. It may be a pain in the butt, but it turns out so cool. Yeah, keep me busy doing that, folks. I would really love for that to happen. And I'll level with you. It's not so much about the money. The money would be great too, but basically I'm going to take everything that I earn and reinvest it into buying more yarn and buying more dyes and more colors, so that I can dye more for you and dye more for me. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So it's really basically the reason I'm selling it is, number one, I can't keep it all, can't knit with it all, and number two, I want to have bare yarn and the professional acid dyes that I can just dye whatever colors strike my fancy at some point, no matter what, and I'll have the stuff there to do it with. So I made a big investment in some yarns earlier this year, so that I could do start this business that really is a, it's not for the profit, it's for the sustainability of the hobby, if you will. So that's my purpose, and at least today, that's the purpose in doing it. Maybe some point in my future, it will become so I'll become so busy that it's just my gig, which would be cool. I'd be happy with that. Retire and just dye yarn till I, drop on the floor. That'd be a great way to go. Die with, die while dying. Ooh, ooh, see what I did there? That was fun. Anyway, okay, I'm starting to go crazy now. It's time to bring this craziness to an end. So be sure to check out all the other stuff that's out on my YouTube channel. I do have some dyeing videos there from last year. I haven't done a lot of recording this year. I'll probably do a little bit this fall, especially. That's kind of my thought process, my hopes. Give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the colors that I have going up in my shop. I'm saying a lot. I've just noticed that. One thing I think I want to do is separate out some shop update videos on this channel for Mount Carmel yarns. So I will do a little bit of separation of that. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just continue to do it here. Might be easier. Anyway, that's something that's going through my head. So check out my other videos. Leave comments letting me know what you think of my yarns, of my new shop, what colors you would like to see. If you want more of a particular base on a particular color, let me know. No guarantees, but it'll give me an idea of what you all are looking for. And again, if you have a favorite bread recipe, throw that out there too. You can find me on social media. I have my Facebook page of GreatScott Knitting. I now have a Facebook page for Mount Carmel Yarns. I'll throw that out there too. I have my Instagram of GreatScott Knitting. I now have my Instagram for Mount Carmel Yarns. I have my Ravelry group. On Ravelry, I'm GreatScott KCMO. You can check me out there. And I do have a Ravelry group for this podcast, of which not much happens there, but hey, go check it out anyway. Anyway, all those links are going to be in the show notes below, as well as any links to patterns that I've talked about, and of course, any yarn shops that I may have mentioned in passing during this particular episode. That being said, all the particulars being placed out there, may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Bye.